All right, in this explainer, we are diving into one of those tiny, everyday frustrations that drive us all a little bit crazy, the vanishing clipboard. And we're going to look at a really clever tool called ClipIt that says, what if you had an AI-powered memory for everything you ever copy? You know the feeling, right? We have all been there. You copy a link, maybe a phone number, a bit of code. You get distracted for just a second, copy something else, and poof, the original is gone. It's this mini heart attack moment that probably happens to you like a dozen times a day. And what happens next is that same old frustrating dance. You hit paste, and the wrong thing pops up. So you start frantically digging through old emails or Slack DMs trying to retrace your steps. Or, the ultimate walk of shame. You just give up and have to ask your colleague for the same information all over again. This whole mess is what we can call the clipboard black hole. It's this digital void where useful information just goes to die, one Control-C at a time. It's a huge productivity killer that we've all just kind of accepted as a fact of life. But what if it didn't have to be that way? And that right there is where ClipIt enters the picture. Think of it as the hero of our story. It's designed to be this intelligent, totally searchable memory for everything you copy, basically turning that black hole into your own personal, powerful database. I mean, this quote really says it all, doesn't it? It's like having a perfect photographic memory for every single thing that hits your clipboard, but with a smart assistant built right in that can find what you need exactly when you need it. So, how does it actually do it? How does the magic happen? Well, let's pop the hood and take a look at the 5 core components that make this whole thing tick. It's a really clever setup of different services all working together. Okay, first up, you've got the clipboard monitor. This is the absolute foundation of the system. It's this little service that just runs in the background, and it is constantly, and I mean tirelessly, watching your clipboard. Every half second, it's checking, hey, is there anything new? It literally never misses a thing. And the process itself is just brilliantly simple. It checks, it sees new content, and bam, it saves it to a local database. But here's the clever part. It also grabs context, like what application you were in when you copied it. Then it hands all that info off to the AI to get it all organized. It's fast, simple, and super effective. Now, let's talk about the brains of the operation, the AI service. ClipIt uses a really powerful but surprisingly small AI model called Llama 3.2. And here's the crucial part. It runs completely locally on your machine. It's all offline. That means none of your copy data ever gets sent to the cloud, which, as you can imagine, is a huge deal for privacy. So this local AI has 2 main jobs. The first one is answer generation. This is where you can just ask it a question in plain English, like, what was that tracking number from yesterday? The second job is auto-tagging. The AI is constantly, proactively categorizing everything you copy with useful tags like email or code, which makes finding things later way, way more accurate. Okay, next up is the text capture service. And honestly, this is the part that feels like pure magic. It's a service that's just listening for one keyboard shortcut, Alt-X. When you press it, you're basically telling the system, hey, I'm about to ask you something. And then it actually replaces your question with the answer, right inside whatever app you're using. And if that wasn't cool enough, there's also an OCR service. OCR, that's optical character recognition. With another simple shortcut, Alt-V, ClipIt takes a quick screenshot, and using this open source tool called Tesseract, it can read and pull text out of literally anything on your screen. And think about how incredibly useful this is. You can finally pull text out of a protected PDF. You can grab a quote from a YouTube video as it's playing. You can even copy an error message from one of those annoying dialog boxes that won't let you select the text. It's a genuine superpower. So, we've seen all the individual pieces of the puzzle. Now let's put it all together and see how they create what the developer calls the magic flow. This is where it all comes together into a totally seamless experience. Let's just use a super simple, relatable example. You vaguely remember copying your colleague John's email yesterday. Of course, it's long gone from your clipboard now. The old way would mean you are about to start a very annoying search. But with ClipIt, it's a completely different world. You just typed your question, John's email, right where you need the answer. You hit Alt-X, and this little floating dog icon pops up to show it's listening. You hit Alt-X again, the dog thinks for a second, the AI finds the answer in its memory, and then, boom. Your question is just gone, instantly replaced by the actual email address. You didn't have to switch windows, you didn't have to search anything, you didn't have to retype,
The information just appears, exactly where you wanted it. It is so slick. And here's the real payoff. The creator estimates this whole workflow saves about 30 seconds for every single search. Now, that might not sound like a ton, but think about how many times a day you're looking for little bits of information. Those seconds add up to minutes, and those minutes add up to a huge chunk of your day that you're getting back. Okay, so this thing is clearly very, very powerful, but let's get into the practical stuff. We need to talk about the tech that's making it work, and maybe more importantly, the trade-offs you're making when you use it, especially when it comes to your privacy. First off, here are the key commands you need to know. Alt-X is your go-to for asking the AI a question. Alt-V is for that awesome screen-grabbing OCR. And Alt-S will just pop up a quick overlay of your most recent Clipboard items if you need something you just copied. It's simple, but it's really effective. For anyone curious about what's under the hood, the whole tool is built mostly in Python. It's using PyQ5 for the user interface, SQLite for that local database we talked about, and the very popular Transformers library for running that local AI model. It's a really solid, modern tech stack. But of course, anytime you have a tool that is literally recording everything you copy, it raises a massive, critical question. What does this mean for my privacy and my security? And this is where we hit a really big trade-off. The good news is fantastic. Because everything runs locally, your data never ever leaves your computer. No cloud services, no external APIs, nothing. But, and this is a big but, the bad news is a serious thing to consider. It stores everything you copy in an unencrypted plain text database right on your machine. That includes any passwords or secret API keys you might have copied. And that really brings us to the final big picture idea here. ClipIt is more than just a clipboard manager, right? It's kind of a proof of concept for a whole different way of working with our computers. It really makes you stop and ask, what would our digital lives feel like if every single application had its own intelligent, private, and instantly searchable memory? Now that is a fascinating and maybe even a revolutionary idea to think about.